don't.
I was gonna say, you want to charge? We are recording now as well, by the way. So, what's the story with the car tank? Is it all fixed now?
It's never been broken, mate. They just battery. It's like you literally you'd have to charge the car on full battery, and you go and make a cup of tea in the back, and the battery's gone.
Double A's, mate. That's the issue.
Shit. Listen, the fucking they are, mate. They are.
Boys, how are we? I apologise to everybody for our no-show yesterday. I was feeling slightly worse for wear. It was totally my fault. I was hungover. I am no longer hungover. So I'm delighted to have you both on. Jim, how are you, lad?
All good, mate. Yeah, I was raring to go yesterday, and no one answered me text. Just
I replied and just said I'm hungover.
Flagging me off behind me back, going, "Let's just do one without Jim this week, lads." Like fucking just ignore him.
We have spoke about that,
though. Tank, how's things, mate? You're just filling me in. You're off to Burnley shortly to watch Jack play.
Yeah, going there, mate, to have a little nose of that. And then he's roped me in to take him to fucking Nando's and everything later.
Oh, mate, you can't complain about Nando's.
I know, Jimmy, but like Jack's like everything's in Jack's time, where I'm like, I can order Nando's, eat a Nando's and be out in 20 minutes because I hate sitting around. I'd just like to get in, get out and fuck off. And then I've got to take him back to his digs in Burnley. And then I mightn't get home for Liverpool getting beat 3-0 by Napoli.
Say, it might be a good thing.
You've got to charge your car for the 45th time.
Oh, no, mate, it's a disaster. I hate it.
Lads, before we get into football, because I actually just don't want to talk about like football's doing my head in at the minute.
Football, lads, let's get right into it.
So before we get into the football, happy Halloween. How was your
happy Halloween?
Do you get many trick or treaters, Tank? Do you do the house up? I'd say you must do, surely.
Yeah, we had quite a few knocked. Didn't fucking answer them.
Didn't you? You're not that grumpy neighbour who doesn't get sweets or anything, are you?
No, mate, I can't. My missus takes Frankie out. They have a party. It's what?
You got pictures of yourself outside to scare everyone off.
Well, it's the mother-in-law's birthday on Halloween, so Sharon goes to like the party at her sister's there, and they go all around there. They live like in an estate, and they go around the estate with the trick and treating, which is fucking great for me because I'm just like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
So we'll just close the curtains, and everyone who come got fucked off.
Jesus.
No way I'm giving them any of my prawn cocktail crisps, mate.
I always remember there was one family growing up. I remember the family's name and everything. It kind of sticks. We knocked on their house and we were like, are they going to bring us something? Bear in mind, there was like 6 of us. You know, like Tesco back in the day used to have like no frills version of like crisps. They give us one pack. One pack of no frills crisps between the 6 of us, and we're like, "What the fuck? What are we going to do with that?" Absolutely terrible.
I was talking about this morning, but when I was younger, I'm sure we used to get given money on Halloween. I'm sure I'd come home with like
from people
quid.
Like knocking on doors,
from people's house. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like sweets weren't a thing back in my day; it was just pure cash.
Yeah, maybe that was just this poor fucking kid. Yeah,
yeah, mate, fed me for a week. I was happy.
What about you, Jim? Mate, I know you. There's not you're like, if you've ever seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, like Jimmy does his house like that.
I don't go as mad on Halloween. I should do, but I don't go as mad because I don't think you can leave them up for like the week or whatever, leading up to Halloween. But we have quite a few decorations. But we live on the estate that Tank was talking about, where people just come here. So there's loads. Like we have a lot of people, and because it's in a little circle, it's just a circle, so everyone runs around, gets all the sweets, and it's good, mate. I love it. Kids loved it. It's just shame it pissed it down. So,
this is the last thing before we move on to the football. I'm scarred by Halloween, and the scars run deep. I remember when I was a kid, I was around.
I'm sure we can record this.
No, it's all right. No, it's okay.
You got molested by Freddie.
By a Freddo.
So do you know what it was? I was about 13, 14, to that awkward age. And I remember it was my footy team at the time at the range to have a fancy dress, get together, everyone go to a party. And for some reason, I don't know why, I dressed up as a tomato. I still to this day, like green tights, big red fucking belly on me, red face. I don't even know. Anyway, let me finish the story and we'll come back to the tomato bit. So I turned up at this party, right? And no one else was in fancy dress. They stitched me up massively. So I rock up to this event dressed as a full-on tomato, green tights, red face, big fat belly on me. Honestly, the abuse that I took for that, I'll never get over that. I'll never get.
Mate,
I'll never
I would have to rock
feeling.
that, you know, because you see all the videos all the time, don't you? Like, mate, I love dressing up, lad. Just embrace it.
Yeah, 13 years old though, Jim. We're older and
Yeah,
wiser
I
now. We
mean,
don't give
you're
a
Is this
good
fuck.
Halloween, Jamie?
Halloween, mate. Yeah.
No,
So
this is
straight away,
like
mate,
February.
I'm digging you out for being. I've never come across a fucking Halloween tomato, mate.
That's the thing. I don't even know. I wouldn't have minded if it was just like I went as Batman. It's like kind of cool, but I don't know why. Who made the decision? Firstly, I'm guessing it's me mum, and then second of all, why did I go? Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll go as a tomato.
Where do you get a tomato from?
I don't know.
For
I've got so
Halloween?
many
Like, that's the
questions, mate.
question.
But I think
Kathy
it's one of them where
Get
it's like
Mrs. M on and let's find out, because if she's homemade that as well.
I think it was a period of homemade outfits since like last minute. It's like, what have we got in the cupboard? Oh, there's some green tights. Okay, who could you go as? All right, yeah. It was
Like
a terrible
Tom's.
decision. Yeah, terrible decision. But okay, so enough Halloween and on to
more horrors.
I was going to do a pun there. Thanks for helping me.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. We'll start off with Liverpool. Get it out the way because it's just ruining my life at the moment. Who wants to start? Actually, Jim, you start. Liverpool, Leeds. Were you surprised? What did you think of the game?
I mean,
a Liverpool done, lads. A Liverpool done. Am I being too dramatic here?
I think so. I'll talk about the game and I'll give you my thoughts on Liverpool. I think with Liverpool here, because everyone's on the ropes, everyone sees Liverpool on the ropes. They're coming out swinging because they can see that you've taken a hit, and that's why teams are beating you. Leeds gave it a fucking good go. Played well, defended well, attacked well. I thought they were good from the wings, and I thought they looked all right, Leeds. And again, from a Leeds point of view, I'd be asking questions like, again, why are you raising your game for these big games? But it's just simple mistakes. It's just everyone seems petrified, and easy mistakes are happening. As I said to you boys in the group chat, I have no idea what Virgil van Dijk's doing for that second goal, because if you actually watch it, the ball's on the touchline. He's got two men surrounding him, and Virgil's stood still thinking this ball's never coming in. And then the ball comes in and he takes a touch, and then Virgil's like, oh, fuck. And he's slow to react because he's thinking the ball's never coming in, whereas a confident Virgil is there waiting because he's expecting that ball to come in no matter what. So, yeah, it's just horror after horror, isn't it? And you just expect them to give someone a good hiding. And as soon as they go 1-0 down, everyone's going, right, we're in here again. And we're not expecting them to come back. So it's just not good. It's not good. And I think from my point of view, I think you're back to the beginning at the moment. And I think this is the Liverpool ilk of when Jurgen first came in, not invested in, struggling.
Total transformation job.
So yeah, and you've gone full circle now, because you weren't in the Champions League every year before Jurgen, and I think you've taken him for granted, and I think you've probably missed, due to Man City, a period of time where you really could have dominated and pushed forward. Now I'm not sure how you get back to them now, because is that transitional period, is that circle over, and are you back to? I don't want you to be back to mediocre, and I hope they're not, because I want someone to challenge City for the title. But I'd be worried if I was a Liverpool fan thinking that they've gone full circle.
Tank, off the back of what Jimmy was saying there, look, I obviously have my opinions. I think the thing that worried me the most was, okay, so I'll look at it with my optimistic view on trying not to be reactionary, right? The one thing when you've got a little bit of brittle confidence, you don't want to be giving teams something to defend early. This terrible error from Gomez, Alisson slips, and then you're up against it, and all the demons come out, the crowd start getting on your back, and then it's just, it's a negative cycle, and it's difficult to pull themselves out of. The biggest worry for me is Liverpool look so susceptible. Anytime Liverpool they look so susceptible on the counter. It's pretty much 1 and 2 balls through, and they're through the whole team. Like, you can cut through Liverpool like a hot knife through butter. And this is the thing that worries me, that how can we consistently be easy to play against? That's the worrying thing. And I think Jimmy's onto something where it's definitely a transitional period for Liverpool. I don't agree with him in that I think it's a total reboot. I think if Liverpool invest in their midfield, I think you'll see a drastic change of fortunes. If is a fair question, Jim, to be honest. If we reboot that area and nearly fresh legs, and then you get the likes of a Diaz, a Jota, and those back, I think this Liverpool team kicks on quite drastically, to be honest. Where are you, Tank? Are you kind of in the middle in thinking, look, it's broken, or do you see little glimmers and with slight tweaks they can be back where hopefully Liverpool fans think that they belong?
I'm kind of like, it's going to take massive investment in one area.
Is it just the midfield that's a problem?
It's the midfield that's the problem, because not just the problem, but the issue with Liverpool is like, it's I was listening to Graham Tunis and he's bang on. It's called the engine room for a reason. That it's called that because everything runs through that. Your defense and your attack runs through that. Now, we have got no legs in Liverpool's midfield, and I'm talking like literally, we have old men. It's a fact. We've got old men playing in there. Henderson's been absolutely a fucking legend for the club. He's been unbelievable what he's done, but he's 32. But because of the amount of work what he's expected and had to do over the last 5, 6, 7 years, he's a 38-year-old player. Yeah. It's just how it is. Fabinho is just, I can't see any comeback for Fabinho. You know, you can see players where Henderson's 32 and you're like, he's 32 and it's fucking, his legs just seem to be gone. He's trying to do what he used to and he just can't. But you can accept that because of his age. Fabinho's only just turned 29. He should be in this.
I was going to ask how old Fabinho was because he looks about 40.
Yeah, he was 29 last week. He should be in the peak of his career. For me, he is completely and utterly gone. He is finished, gone. There's no comebacks for him. So then Liverpool's whole basis was they had Van Dijk and, say, Matip, and they had Fabinho sat in front of them as the protector. And that allowed our fullbacks to push right on, and then we'd have the high line of the three who caused major problems with the runs of Mane, Salah, and whoever, of Jota or Bobby or whoever it may be. We've got zero protection now. We've got zero protection because Fabinho can't even shuffle 5 yards either way because his legs just won't allow him to do it. So I wouldn't say the cycle's over. I genuinely think if we invested in 3 or at least 2 top draw, energetic, young, top level midfielders, you'd see a completely and utterly, totally different Liverpool. But the problem is,
team will be transformed these owners will 300 million on a midfield.
Invest. Sorry.
Any team would be transformed if you spend 300 million on a midfield. Like it's all well and good saying it, but
Chelsea have, teams have. We haven't.
I know they have.
Our last signing was Thiago. I love Thiago, but Thiago's another one. Thiago is not. I've said this from day one with you, Jamie, and we have a little bit of banter. I love Thiago as a football player. I think some of the stuff he can do is absolutely fantastic. But the way this Liverpool midfield cog works is that he's not suited to Liverpool. We've always had like Wijnaldum. You go to Wijnaldum. I think we broke Wijnaldum.
Yeah,
he's gone to PSG and looks like he can't run now. He's broke his leg, but he's gone to PSG and had a fucking shocker. And I just think that the way Klopp has these players, you have to recycle that midfielder every 2 or 3 years. You can't just keep going with the same thing. And I've just read an article today, and it just does my fucking head in because it's the most Liverpool article ever in the Daily Mail, where they're saying Liverpool's next cycle is to invest on the midfield next season. Get the fuck out of here. It's needed fucking money spent on it for 4 years, 5 years, and we haven't.
So is there an element here where, you had that dreaded 7-year drop-off at Dortmund and people don't want to seem to talk about it with this Liverpool team? And you've mentioned it there, when Wijnaldum's legs fell off, Fabinho's legs look like they fell off, Henderson's getting old and his legs look like they fell off. I'll be honest, Trent's legs look like they fell off as well. It does not seem as sharp. Now, this could be a consequence of Klopp's style of play, yeah, but also the excessive demands on the players. But also, I think Chelsea played. I know Chelsea are sat 6th at the moment, but still, they play pretty much the same number of games as Liverpool last year. It doesn't look like they are running in treacle. Is there an element here I'll come to you first on this, Jim, where Klopp's job as a coach is to set Liverpool up in a way to make them successful on the football pitch. So there's been a lot of adjustments made this season. Some good, some bad. There's been lots of adjustments. He's moved away from his much favoured 4-3-3 formation. We've tried 4 different variations of 4-4-2, 4-2-1. You know, there's been lots of different attempts to find a right system for Liverpool, but it doesn't seem to be working. And Liverpool are really open and easy to play against. And then when you look at the number of soft tissue injuries that Liverpool face, there's always an injury crisis. We don't really have an identity at the moment, and you can see that in the manager having to change things all the time. As much as we talk about lack of investments, I think Klopp is part of that process. He signs off on players. He is said that he was happy with his midfield at the start of the season. He said he pointed out and listed them, and I think he even went on to say, you tell me what type of midfielder we need when we have these 7 or 8 lads. Now, half of those who have long-standing injury issues, a lot of them are made of paper or pasta, pick your poison. They've now got injured like they have a tendency to do, and we look like we struggle. So my point is, does there have to be questions on Klopp here? Because I love him. He's the best thing that's ever happened to Liverpool in my time as a fan, but he's not faultless. He can make errors too. And I start to look at this and go, well, surely he's got some questions to answer here, because even down to bringing James Milner on for Trent, when Trent and Robertson had been our best offensive outlets on the day, it makes zero sense to me. And this isn't me being reactionary and Arsenal fan TV and throwing stuff and get the manager. Any talk of getting Klopp out, you're talking absolute garbage. Let's get that one thing right. But he's not having a good season, in my opinion.
No, and I think it's from being a steady, he's always been what he's been about, and he's stuck to his guns, and that seems to have changed a bit this year with changes of formation. Is that due to players coming in that he might not have wanted? Did he want Nunes? Was that a Klopp signing?
He was the big driver.
So if he was a driver on that, then he's then got to take responsibility, because he's changed formation several times and still not found something that clicks. But from a Klopp's way of training and playing in matches is not, it's not so far beyond what anyone else is doing. But what everyone else sees is that when you have such intensity on anyone, they need a period of rest. And by resting players, you need better players that you can bring in. And that's what these teams are doing. So, Newcastle are playing that sort of pressing game now. Chelsea, Man United are doing that, and they will reinvest because they know they need to. But the players they've got will be adequate enough for once the better players they bring in, i.e. if they bring in a De Jong, you'll always have a Fred and a McTominay or whoever to come in, a Casemiro, they'll rotate that system. Man City have done it, and I know we'll talk around money, but Man City have done that regularly and kept that unpredictability of squad rotation, but also that predictability of, we know who's playing when.
Freshness.
Where Liverpool haven't got that now, and that has to sit on Klopp's door, because surely he goes to the board and says, I've brought you X, Y, and Z, and I need this. So if he's so stubborn in that he's thinking, I'm the father figure, and even Sir Alex Ferguson, though, he was, his players loved him, but they also hated him because they know that if they didn't do what he said, he'd get bollocked. But
let's be honest, he was ruthless, though. He was always ruthless.
So he'd always get rid of players, Wes Brown, all these players that he's brought up, although they were good stopgaps and they won Champions League and, they played in some big games, they were never what Ferguson wanted for the long term. So this that surely has to sit on Klopp's door, because if he isn't getting what he should be getting, Jurgen Klopp should be the type of coach of how he deals to go, I'm not having this, and walk away. And if he's not doing that, then the answer to me would say that he's fairly happy in what he's done. And yeah.
What do you think, Tank?
complete and utter lack of investment. The whole shooting match. We tried
But
to.
is Klopp? Is he to blame for some of this as well?
No, he's not to blame. How's he to blame? If he's come out, and we've said this. We spoke on this podcast before. He's come out in his interviews, and he's kind of said, "I would like to be more." What was the word he used, Jamie?
I'm trying to think of the interview.
Something in the market. Remember, he come out and said, "I'd like to take more chances in the transfer market."
Yeah.
So he's not the type of manager to come out. He's come out. He's been asked this for many, many years, and he's actually come out and just says, "I know the model of what we work upon." So,
do you think he's towing the company line, Tank? Do you think that's what it is?
I think. I don't want this to sound like a fucking a proper digger cop. I do think he's kind of a bit of a yes man. I think if you go back to Dortmund sold all their best players season in, season out, and he would try and find a gem and turn it into it. And he obviously done it at Mainz, the first team, because they were only a small club. And then he's done it at Liverpool, where basically he's got to stick into this budget. But this budget is completely and utterly. I just don't get how the owners can look at us, what we've done, and where we've got challenging City, which is a fucking thing in its own, and then get to the top, win the Champions League, win the league, and then just go, right, bang, we're done. This man's a genius, and he'll continue to be a genius. Curtis Jones does not even get in Man City's under-23 side. That's a fact. Now, there's talking that he's starting tonight against Napoli, who for me are the best team in Europe by a long shot this season. They are the real deal. They are absolutely phenomenal. So I think we've got to point the finger at Klopp, where you kind of like some of the decisions and the substitutions. I'm certainly looking at him going, how he took Trent off on Saturday was just baffling. I thought Trent played quite well. And
in this day and age, don't they do that off stat? Don't they do off that on they do a lot in the red zone, don't they? With the trackers and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. That would be the only thing that would justify it for me, Jim.
That's what I think. I mean, if
he can only do 17
minutes the last 3 games, so Trent's not played.
Yeah, but he's been injured as well, hasn't he? So is he thinking that he's injured? He's come back early and he's in that red zone. I was baffled by it, but if he's got more data than what we have.
Do you know sometimes though? Do you know when you're in a rut like that and you can't win a game, you got to fuck the data right off and just say, listen, I need my best players on the pitch as often as possible to try and nick a fucking result somewhere. Now, Trent, for me, he defended well on Saturday. He was pinging balls all over the fucking field, switch balls to Robbo. And when you're looking for a goal at 1-1, he's your go-to guy. He's the one who could put a ball on the plate for someone, and you take him off. And no disrespect, you take him off for James Milner. The man's a legend of what he's done in football. He's fucking 75.
Yeah.
And, this is the issue. And for me, Klopp's got to take blame for some substitutions and some baffling tactics. And sometimes you think that's not suiting us. The diamond, for me, is a fucking joke of a formation. You just you're leaving us open at the wide areas to fucking bombard us. And especially when we're asking fullbacks to play high and we're leaving, we're exposed down the channels. So he's got to take, but come on, give the man a fucking a couple of transfer windows and big money. And I think you'll see a totally different Liverpool side. But I don't even think we'll invest in the summer. I genuinely don't.
See, so I have, and we'll move on to the next topic now, but I just want to finish with this, right? I have a theory that, so I've been a big fan of FSG's model. It's proven that it works. So heavily analytical, transfer committee, look for the next big thing based on data. You look at the perfect example, Mo Salah, for example, his numbers were good at Roma, terrible at Chelsea. They thought that he was just about to take off. Supposedly it wasn't a Klopp sign, and that was a transfer committee sign, and he wasn't sold. I think he wanted a lad from Germany. I can't think of his name now. It escapes me. Julian Brand, was it? Anyway, they got Salah. Salah takes off. Liverpool are always looking for that next big thing. Now, it got Liverpool to be able to compete in a different way against Manchester City and got them to the top of the tree. What worked against FSG, and the worst thing to happen to them, in my opinion, is what it then created was Virgil van Dijk became the best centre-back in the world. Trent Alexander-Arnold became the best attacking fullback in the world. Fabinho, best defensive midfielder. Mo Salah, arguably for a long time there, was the best player in the world. What they then had to do is big contracts to secure these players. If in my honest opinion, I think that FSG, if you'd have said it, they would have let Salah go. They would have got that money in for Salah, and then they would have started the process again. But what Liverpool then had to do is secure those big contracts, secure those big players. and it's had to shift FSG's model in trying to become something that they're not, rather than build those players up, sell them on, the big players, get the money in, reinvest, the cycle starts again. They weren't allowed to do that. So now they're caught between these two worlds of trying to keep a load of senior players who are all excellent. But if you ask me, need a rocket up their arse or somebody to come in and challenge. Liverpool don't necessarily now have the funds, it would seem, to be able to go out and buy these next raft of players. Because COVID came and they couldn't sell players, they seem a lot more tentative. So they've nearly outgrown their own model, if that makes sense. And it's put them in a really difficult position. So for me, I don't know. I don't know how this goes. I can't see that they would look at this situation and not reinvest in that midfield. And I don't like this idea of it's one player or no one. It's Bellingham or no one. Don't give us that nonsense.
You ain't getting Bellingham.
Yeah, we're not. I agree with you. No, not a hope. And again, us being tentative has allowed we fell off a cliff. Other teams, like you'd go to Madrid now. If you're looking at this, you're going to Madrid. But you cannot tell me under Jude Bellingham, there wasn't 3 or 4 other players that can steam into that Liverpool midfield. Give me 3 or 4 25, 26-year-olds now, and they can start steamrolling teams again, hunting them down. Give me players that have a point to prove, are ready to take that next step. I don't necessarily think they need to be world beaters. I don't.
Tell me the best box-to-box midfielder in the Premier League right now.
It's what's his name? Declan Rice for me.
Declan Rice.
Well, Declan Rice, but he's 150 million. So, okay, next box, Gameres, 33 million.
I agree.
Newcastle pay for him.
Yeah.
33 mil.
If you're looking at a list there, you're going Bellingham. If you can't get Bellingham at the start of the year, you probably could have got Rice for less. If you can't get Rice, then you're looking at it going, okay, yeah, let's take a put. What was he? 33 million, I think. Newcastle paid for him.
33 mil, yeah.
So it's mad. It's mad.
So these players out there.
Yeah. So I think they just need to get down and look how serious we are. Let's back the manager. I don't think the manager's been faultless this season, but Liverpool look a little stale and they need some injection. And it needs to happen quickly. So I want to come on to Arsenal Forest tank after, I suppose, stopping the rot for Forest. They obviously had a good result against Liverpool. Back down to earth with a bump for them. What did you make of the game? What did you make of the result?
It's just the same thing what we spoke to you about Forest, isn't it? I mean, 1-0 at half time is actually not a bad, you're kind of like, okay. But then we've spoke about this many times in the podcast. Forest have this fucking incredible habit of conceding many goals in a short space of time. So it's gone it went from 1 and then it was like 2, 3, 4 bang within minutes, and you're like,
is that just the ruthless Premier League though? If you knock off,
the Premier League is ruthless. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking very, very cutthroat, but I just don't. I don't even. This sounds harsh. I don't even think League One sides would concede 3 goals in that short space of time. It's like, you've got to be fucking. You've got to go out in the second half against Arsenal. You just shut the fucking shop up for 10 minutes. Even if you're putting 11 men behind the ball in your own half, just make it horrible and ugly and fucking tough for them to break through the lines. But it's like, they just have this habit of just fucking tumbling over and rolling over and getting the bellies tickled in like a 5 or 10 minute period. And then you're 4-0 down and then you're like, it's a fucking good hiding. And it's not, we spoke about it many times. It's not the first time it's happened. It's happened against, they were 2-0 up against Bournemouth and within 15 minutes to 3-2 down. They conceded against Fulham and in about 5 minutes to fucking 3-1 down. It just seems to be this, and it's going to be a struggle to stay in the league if you keep conceding goals this quick. In short spaces of time, you can't do it.
Yeah, Jim, do you think? I suppose there's been. I don't know if it's surprising after Arsenal's defeat to PSV, there was some questions kind of thrown at them, maybe around their squad depth. Do you think that was a little bit unfair? And I suppose when you look at this result, it was a big result for Arsenal. They bounced back. They had a little bit of questions coming their way. I'm not suggesting for any second that the wheels had come off. You know what I mean? But it was strange, the narrative that came out off the back of that, and they answered it, incredibly well. Do you think Arsenal it's just a case of they are the best at the rest at the moment, or do you think that they will kind of fall away as the season goes, and maybe that squad depth could potentially catch up with them?
My first instinct would say they'll fall away, but they rotated a lot in that PSV game. A lot. I think they changed. I looked at the side. I didn't watch the game as such, but they they had a lot of.
Don't say that, Jim. Just blag it as you go, lad. You watch.
No, well, I know. Well, Thursday midweek games.
He doesn't watch it. I've screenshot
it. But I didn't watch the PSV game. But I know they rotated a lot. I did look at the lineups and the scores, and then they brought their first team back on Sunday, wasn't it? Brought their first team back on Sunday, and for me, it's not so much Forest struggled, but I think Arsenal, they look good. Arsenal look good. And some of them goals, mate, obviously Thomas Partey's rocket to the top, then you've got no chance of getting to it. The ball's in. Reece Nelson's, the squad, from a squad depth point of view, they brought Reece Nelson back into the frame, and he scored 2. You got Eddie Nketiah on the bench, who can always come into the frame as well. And this is probably, he was disappointed from the PSV game that he didn't have more of an impact. So I still think they'll fall away, but they're looking good. And it's the same. I'm thinking the same. For Forest, I'm thinking they'll come good, but they're still not. And it's only Arsenal, so you move that on to the next. But we're saying that every game. And it's the same for Arsenal. I'm thinking they'll fall away, but they'll keep winning. And then same for Liverpool. I'm thinking they'll win this game and they'll keep losing. So it's a bit of a weird season so far, isn't it? And it's actually good for the Premier League. I wish Liverpool were doing better. So it's more of a 3-horse race.
So your mates were happy, or you just want to see us?
Yeah. But
go on, Jim.
I was just saying it's. I really like what Arsenal are doing, and I'm not taking that PSV defeat as anything other than a change in squad and a rest of players to concentrate on the league, because I don't think they're asked whether they win the Europa League or not, as long as they are challenging for the Premier League.
It's funny, Tank, because Jimmy says there, it's good for the Premier League. There's a lot of narratives around a lot of different clubs at the moment. I'm like Jimmy. I'm a big fan of Mikel Arteta and what he's trying to do at Arsenal. I think he's doing a great job. His hair, I find a little confusing. Like, it just never changes. Like, I've just got a real issue with his hair. It's been the same. It's like pure Lego, proper thick, never changes. Just takes it out, puts it on the nightstand, and then pops it back on exactly the same the next day. But you can see. I always talk about trajectory, and you can see that there's a real positive feeling trajectory about Arsenal, and everyone is bought into what he's doing. The one that I find weird at the moment, I want to get your opinion on it, is Tottenham, right? So Conte is, we all know, an absolute winner. From an outsider looking in, he's a fiery character. He's certainly not going to do things quietly. Doesn't always say the right things. Doesn't always play the best PR move. But you can see that he's a winner and he'll get results. And he's proven that at Spurs. Again, it was a difficult game, nearly a potential banana skin, but they turned it around and they got the result. The thing that's weird for me, Tank, is they are sitting third, 3 points off second. It was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it is now still, but their best ever start to a Premier League season, right? So, but there's a narrative growing amongst their fans that they're not happy with the style of play. It seems like results aren't enough. Where do you sit on that? I suppose Conte as a manager of Spurs, and how do you see that kind of progressing? Are you surprised by how their supporters are reacting, given the results and the fact that they've broken records in terms of their stars? And is it now that we're in a situation where results just aren't enough for football fans? You have to entertain them as well.
Spurs remind me of the of West Ham, their fans, because all you get is like, do you remember back in the day? It's like, but it's not the West Ham way. I think it was Sam Allardyce when he was manager there. But we don't play football the West Ham way. What the fuck is the West Ham way? Yeah. I've never seen you in a fucking. You've never been successful at anything you've ever done. So what is your way? Your way is to play nice football and do absolutely nothing. And Tottenham's the same. We played this, but you've never. What was the last fucking? You got to the Champions League final against Liverpool and froze. Apart from that, what the fuck have Tottenham done? They've got the manager there who was an out-and-out winner, and all he cares about was winning. They've had the best start. I think it is 26 years. Am I right in saying that? Yeah. They've had the best start they've had for nearly 3 decades. And you see the fans, but we're not playing the Spurs way. Well, let's go back to play the Spurs way and fucking fight out for 5th, 6th, 7th position. It's like, what do fans want? We all would love the fucking wonderful football and fucking attacking and winning 7-2 every game. But it doesn't work like that. This man's a winner. He has his way of playing. Everywhere he's gone, he has It's the specific way he plays, and he will not go out. He won't come off that path. That's what he does. But he has success everywhere. Tottenham's best chance of being successful or winning a trophy or winning anything is to stick with him. But you get the snippets from him, like some of his interviews. You do get the feeling he's ready to jump ship.
He's not happy. Yeah, no, I was going to say, you get it, and you get this feeling that it's not going to end well.
No,
which is strange given where they are.
It's like you remember when they beat Liverpool, didn't he? And then the week later they went to Burnley and got beaten. He was saying maybe I'm not the right man for the job.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, you get the feel, I'd be surprised if he's there at the end of the season.
Yeah, it does seem like there's this narrative growing. And I think as well, you're looking at the Spurs situation, and it shouldn't be this way given the points that they've got on the board. But you also feel, maybe if they don't get a trophy this season or aren't competing with the big boys, Harry Kane has to go at some point.
He has to leave.
He has to leave. So then is Conte getting that, that narrative from Kane that, look, we need to do something this season, then I'm off. There's rumours now that him and Son don't have a great relationship. And by the way, as a Liverpool fan, I would remortgage the house to get Son in at Liverpool. I think he's the most Klopp type player ever.
Brilliant.
But it's just very strange to me, Jim, that there is this narrative around Spurs, because in theory they should be buzzing. No, this is a very good start to the team. They're solid. They have an identity. They've got a winner. But somewhere along the chain, it's broken.
I think a lot of it is media narrative, to be fair. I don't see,
You think it's media spin?
I do think it's media spin. I think it's media spin around Conte as well, because Tottenham are the third highest scorers in the Premier League. So it's not like they're not scoring goals. It's just about the stat, yeah. But they're conceding. That's the issue. They're conceding goals. So I said this about England. I don't mind if we play awful, but we're winning and we're going to go and win something. It's if you start losing and you're playing that awful football that people start to jump. And I don't see that with Tottenham at the minute. Yes, I get they play 5 at the back, but they play, I think at the weekend they had 8 defensive players on, didn't they? And they only had Son and Kane up front. So that would be difficult for me. And in the second half, when they were 2-0 down, the shackles were off and they played some very good football and went and scored 3 goals.
Which feeds into the narrative, though, doesn't it?
Which feeds into the narrative, and then the media can carry on with it and keep going. But I don't know if, again, I don't know what the media narrative is and if there is such a thing, but do they not want Tottenham to take that next step because of, they've got a big new stadium, they'll be getting loads of funding in from that with NFL and all that sort of stuff. So, in theory, Tottenham could be the next team to start challenging for Man City, because obviously Liverpool are struggling at the minute. Tottenham should be. So if they reinvest in the summer, in January, and get players in, for me, I think Kane has to go. I think he's such a good player, and
go where? Where's Kane?
This is my point. I don't know that answer, and you could ask me the same question about Ronaldo.
Is he 29?
He can't. I think he's left it too late now. I think like you say, he's left it too late. But I think Tottenham are, and it's a Liverpool Núñez now. They have to play that way that gets the best out of Kane and Son. But if you had someone more dynamic up front, who I'm not saying Kane's not that dynamic. I'm just saying, he plays his certain way. And if he wasn't there, would Tottenham then change their style to fit in and around it? I don't know the answer to that, but I just think at some point he can't just stay at Tottenham. He can't do a Letizia and just because he wants to be remembered for more than that. I think he will stay. And again, this is a big shout. If England win the World Cup, I think he'll go, well, I've won a World Cup, so I'll stay. If they don't and they don't win anything this year, I think he's got to be asking questions. But like I say, I don't know where he goes now. The only place I could think of is Man United at the moment.
I just think he's missed the boat. I think he's missed the boat.
I think you're right.
29. How much of Tottenham won't let him go for less than, what would you say, 130 million?
150.
150. The numbers are pathetic now, but he guarantees you goals, 20, 30 goals a season, guaranteed. But I can't see any of there's been talks of Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich don't spend that sort of money on players. Certainly
I don't think he'd go abroad, though, Tank.
I think he'd go abroad. He can't speak English, never mind German or French or Spanish.
I think he's got. I think he's got his sights set on Shearer's record. I think he'll stay in England to try and get that. I do think United would probably be the club that I could see.
United's the one because they've got no out-and-out striker. They can move between Rashford, Sancho, Anthony.
Good player in Jimmy.
Hey,
Rashford is flying. He looks a good player, doesn't he?
Scored a goal.
No, just say he's a good player. But here's one for you then, Jimmy. Say United. Is he any closer to winning anything than United than he is at Tottenham?
No, I don't think he will. But again, what do? Do you stay where you are and you've won nothing for the last 12 years? Or do you go somewhere on the hope of United are a massive club? One thing you'll know that if he goes to United, they'll certainly invest in the playing squad. Whether that's the right players or not will remain to be seen.
I think he's got a better chance of winning something at United just because it's United, the financial backing.
Yeah,
they'll get it. Football's cyclical. They'll get it right, United, at some point. They will be back.
I'm not talking Premier League. I'm talking an FA Cup, a Coca-Cola Cup, or whatever it's called, the League Cup, Charity Shield, or something along them lines that he's going to go and win.
Shield.
A Europa League.
Imagine that retired. What did you win? Fucking Charity Shield.
It's more than he won at Tottenham, mate. It's more than he's won at Tottenham. So, I'm not saying he's going to United, but that is the only top that can afford him and to need him.
Last topic, because I know Tank's got to go to Burnley, right? I want to touch on, so City kept the wheels spinning at the weekend. They without Haaland, and their other main man steps up, Kevin De Bruyne, unbelievable goal. I want to get your opinion. I'll come to you, Tank, on where does Kevin De Bruyne rank for you in terms of midfield greats? Because there's always those players where obviously we all support our own teams, right? But there's just those players that you just love watching. Kevin De Bruyne, I think for a lot of football fans, I think Son weirdly is another one that people seem love watching it. Where do you rank Kevin De Bruyne in that? You have those conversations about the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League, and it's always pick your poison. It's always your Lampard, your Gerrard, your Scholes, those type of people. Is he in that conversation? Is he top of the tree now? Where do you see him?
No, nowhere near top of the tree.
No.
As an attacking midfielder, he'd be right up there. But as a midfielder,
all round
midfielder, he's not even in the top 5 conversation.
Really?
Nowhere near it. Zero chance of it.
This is where you got to tell us, the top one.
Scholes, Gerrard, Keane, Lampard, fucking Yaya Toure. These players were all round box to box, can make a last-ditch fucking tackle and can bomb forward. Kevin De Bruyne is a sensational footballer. Give him freedom. But Kevin De Bruyne, if you ask Kevin De Bruyne to play midfield, say for instance in a midfield 2, wouldn't even be in a conversation in the top 10 in my opinion. Vieira, all of these players, Petit, these are all proper box to box, all round, all action, world class midfielders. Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, surprising this, I went to the lad who I told you about who's the Man City fan, who's had season tickets for fucking God knows when. But yeah.
Yeah, how is he? Because he was a little rattled a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he was fucking, he come to the races with me. He stayed over. And do you know what? I was talking about him. And this is his words, by the way. And he might comment on Twitter because he does listen. He said Kevin De Bruyne's been really bang average this season. He says, and I actually went, fuck off. He went, listen, he says, I'm telling you, he says, his assist and everything for Haaland.
His highlight reel's good.
He says, he's never seen him give the ball away as much as he has done this season. He says, there's fucking 4 out of 10 passes go astray. He says, in previous seasons, that never happened. Kevin De Bruyne is a wonderful footballer, and I'd have him in any. If you could get him in the Liverpool side, you'd have him in every single team. But as an all-round midfielder, he don't even enter the conversation, in my opinion.
Jim, I want you to give me your thoughts on Kevin De Bruyne quickly, because we want to wrap this up. But I also want your surprise package of the season so far, best player and worst player. Please, if you could do that.
Lay all. I mean, I think Kevin De Bruyne is absolutely unbelievable, mate. I think I saw someone put on Twitter.
You're a City fan, aren't you?
I would never say. Not yet. Anyway, my son is. But yeah, there's a compilation of Kevin De Bruyne putting balls on absolute plates for Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus. And it was like 9 minutes long, and it wasn't the full video. It was just him passing, then missing. And like they'd go in, Kevin De Bruyne beat the unbelievable assist stats if these two could score. I think he brings that creativity to any team he's in. All right, yeah, he's not, he's not going to be a defensive midfielder because that's not what he's built for. But Vieira's not going to be an attacking midfielder and be able to play this type of passes that De Bruyne can play. I don't think if you put
Vieira had passes in the locker.
I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong, he was decent. But if you put him as an attacking midfielder,
hold on, are we going down? Are we going down the Messi down the line route?
No. My point is people are built to play where they play. So it's like comparing De Bruyne with Peter Schmeichel. They're playing completely different positions. It's not the same player. So in terms of Premier League, I think he's in the top. I think he's in the top 3 midfield players within the Premier League, regardless whether that's midfield 2.
Who's the 3 then?
Name your top 3.
He's under pressure here. Look, his eyebrows start twitching.
Oh, he's sweating.
No. It depends what you want. I mean, for me, it's Lampard, Gerrard, De Bruyne. I think Scholes is a myth. FYI, I think he's a myth.
How does he start dropping these things casually in now? Scholes is a myth with 1 minute of the podcast to go. Hold on. You're having De Bruyne ahead of Keane?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Fuck off, Jimmy.
Jim, you're on the
Don't get me wrong. Roy Keane did what he needed to do, right? And this is the issue you've got. He didn't score that many goals, did he? He scored enough.
He was a goal scoring midfielder.
He wasn't. You go back to his stats, not great. In terms of,
I feel like I should have asked this question at the start of the podcast. Roy Keane just did what he needed to do. Jesus.
No, I'm saying he's great at what he did. He did the hard work that allowed Paul Scholes and everyone else, Michael Carrick, to go.
He was more than that, Jim.
No, Jimmy, that was after he had his knee injury.
Of course, to play in the Premier League and be in the conversation, you're an outstanding player. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But if you put it down to any sort of specific role, then I think Kevin De Bruyne can do more of it better than what Roy Keane did. But if you put it down to a specific role based on Roy Keane, he'll do it better than Kevin De Bruyne. It's, again, a lot of this comes down to personal opinions, doesn't it?
Midfield is an all-round package. Midfield is the engine room, which you spoke before. Midfield is defense.
If you go in the engine room, if you want him up and down, back and forth, then yeah, Roy Keane will get in front of Kevin De Bruyne. But I play attacking flair football, mate. Roy Keane's left at home.
So how's De Bruyne ahead of Yaya Toure?
Because Yaya was,
I think, 20 goals every season for about 4 seasons, and could defend for his life and could run through brick walls.
Again, you're talking different times now. So Yaya Toure was unbelievable for Man City when no one else had any money. So Yaya Toure was an expensive buy for City, and he absolutely dominated at a time where no one else could keep up with City because of the amount of money they were spending. You put Yaya Toure in the same.
No.
Pardon?
Kevin De Bruyne is in the same situation. No,
he's not though, because everyone can compete. Everyone's spending money. Kevin De Bruyne, people think he's this massive. He only costs 45 million, mate, and we're having the conversation around him being the best Premier League midfielder.
No, you're having the conversation.
No, I'm not. Other people have this conversation, don't they?
So to recap and finish, right, Jim?
Don't put words in my mouth, by the way.
Would I do that? Who's your top 5 then?
Top 5 midfielders. I mean, you're putting me on a.
I'm just asking a question. It's my job to ask the questions. Go on. I haven't flipped nothing.
So midfielders.
He's going to change his fucking order now. He's going to change his order.
I never gave you an order. I gave you a 3. You didn't ask me to put them in order, and I won't put them in order yet. I'd have to
rewind that back, because he said my top 3 was Gerrard.
No, I didn't say top 3. You said name three midfielders.
Oh, he's under pressure here.
Rewind.
So then when you come into that, you're putting.
Just bang the fucking 3 out.
Would I put Scholes in?
You've just said he's a myth.
He was a myth.
I know, but I'm saying
you're shitting yourself now.
I'm talking. Jesus. I'm talking where people put him on this pedestal. I'm not saying he's not a good player. Pedestal. This pedestal of the best in the world, like everyone, and there's all these narratives like Xavi. If I could be anyone, I'd be Paul Scholes and all that sort of stuff. I just don't
tell you something. That players like that think that.
What's your list?
I tell you, who wouldn't be in it? Zidane, myth.
Oh my God. Right.
Jamie, you need to fucking stop this podcast
this has
now.
got it right. Jim, just give me a list and then we'll go because Tank's got to go. Come on.
Top 5. De Bruyne, Gerrard, Lampard. This isn't in any order.
No, the order. Give me the order.
I can't give you the order.
Just listing names. Fucking top trumps. Just give us your list.
Georgie King-Clancy.
You're a wanker. It's an absolute wanker. Jim.
Matt Letizia.
What's your list? Top 1 to 5. Come on.
I can't. I need
Zed's
to
gone.
research.
Zed's
you can't
gone.
just go. Like, nah, you can't just go. It's like going, Jim, who's your favourite kid, Archie or Ralph? Like, I need time to decide,
I
mate.
can tell you my favourite kid straight away.
Soz Millie.
Right.
I'll just give you my top 5 midfielders in the blink of an eye. Why can't you do it? Come on.
Because I'm not like you. I don't focus on
football.
specifics. yeah, what? I don't like football. Football shit.
For the record, my top 3 is Gerrard, Keane, and Vieira. They were my top 3.
Yeah, but they're players like you. That's what you like. That's your.
No, I like flair players as well, but I just think you come up against those 3.
Look, you've gone for 3 combat.
Right,
one Liverpool legend, by the way, or Gerrard's number 1. Keane loves booting people. Vieira loves scrapping with Keane. Just you pick players that are exactly like you. Not one of them's got to step over in him.
By the way, one. I'm going to chop that up. I am just like Steven Gerrard, Vieira, and Keane. That's the greatest thing you've ever said to me, mate. Right, that's just
my point is, you all love kicking people.
My point is,
not one of them's got to step over.
Vieira was next level, by the way.
If you allowed, Jim, and we'll finish on this, right, because Tank really does have to go. If you allowed Steven Gerrard to play in the way that Kevin De Bruyne did, he'd do what Kevin De Bruyne does. And that's where, in my midfield 3, if you had Vieira and Gerrard, if you had Vieira and Keane as a 2 and said to Gerrard, go do magic, he'd go and do magic with those 2 behind. And that's what I mean about all-round midfielders. Those 3, when allowed to do it, could do any of the roles in midfield. Roy Keane was unbelievable.
Roy Keane can't play attacking midfield. No way.
I'd say.
Do you not notice Roy Keane
playing on the half turn and little turns in?
No, mate. I think you're fucking.
Come off,
Jimmy. You need to go back and watch videos of Keane.
I know Roy Keane, lad.
You don't, obviously, because before his Cruciate, he was a box at Forest. He was a box-to-box mid-goal.
That's the mid. They played 4-4-2. That's the only formation anyway.
They went to Man United and done exactly the same.
But if you're playing as an attacking midfielder and you've got to play with your back towards goal, it's different.
You're talking playing a 10, not picking up the ball and driving.
As a 10. Yeah. Not an 8. An 8 and a 6.
Right, lads, listen, I've got to go.
Right,
I'll crash on the way because I'm in shock with some of Jimmy's comments.
Fucking Zidane. Anyway, right, everyone.
Mate, by the way, if you want to look at Zidane's stats, he's never scored more than 10 goals. Just saying.
Fuck it. Why'd you do all this at the end of the podcast? Tank, right, you drop off, mate. I'll do the wrap up.
Take it easy.
Look after yourself. Right, everybody. That took a bit of a
now he's gone. Let's slag him off.
Jim, you've come out with some absolute crackers there, lad. Right. Anyway, I've got to go. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. Definitely the plot twist at the end was my favourite part. Oh, Jim, by the way, what do you think of my new camera?
I love it, mate. Looking sharp. Fresh. I'm just jealous of your hairline, lad. Like mine's all over the place, and yours
not great at the back. No, it's not great. No,
I know, but like me, mate. As long as you're good up front and no one can see the back, lad.
Right, so I like this. Me and you just having a little chat here, Jim. It's lovely. This, no, but seriously, I've got to go. So, thank you everybody for listening. Hope you are all well, looking after yourselves. Hope you had a lovely Halloween. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a comment in the section below. Let us know your thoughts. As always, keep sticking with us. We really appreciate your support, but most importantly, we hope you have a fantastic week. You mind yourselves, look after yourselves, and we will be back with you again next week on the Boot Room Podcast. All the best.
Cheers, lads.